Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 361 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live from YouTube, or on YouTube, I should say. If you are watching the live, thank you very much for tuning in, but also thank you for watching the recording. But I suspect some of you will have made a special effort to join us for the live today because we are doing this. And some of you may not be aware of what this is, so I will put you in the picture straight away. But first of all, we need to see who the first comment is coming from today. And it's Christine who says, hello from the sunny Meon Valley in Hampshire. So you're kind of that way from me. Okay, well, you could probably send us a little bit more sunshine. I mean, it's still really, really cold though, isn't it? So I am wearing the correct t-shirt for this video. There is no other item of clothing from my wardrobe that I could have worn today, but I have still got to wrap up because it is freezing cold. It's still really, really cold here. Scent Genie is here too, who says, can't wait to see your reaction to this, Mr. Persolaise. That looks like a real treat, says Tina. Mona is saying hi from cold Upper Austria, probably colder than here actually. What's the t-shirt, says Gavin. This was when Zara a few years ago did a sort of limited edition series of Gruau prints, and I think this one is probably from an original Eau Sauvage advert. Okay, I am planning to do more than just this video today, so we need to get a move on. But I am nervous about this. So what is this? Those of you who follow me on Instagram and who check out the community tab on YouTube here every now and then will be aware that just a few days ago, when was it? It was just a few days ago. I think maybe it was Wednesday. I'm thinking it was Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. I think, no, probably no, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. Madame Persolaise and I were having a bit of a clear out. It's been a sort of major clear out, and we decided that we can't possibly hang on to all of these books that we have in our collection. We're major book hoarders. And Gavin says, what's happening with the cellophane at the bottom? Have you sneaked a sniff? No, this is how I bought it. Okay, anyway, we took a whole load of books down to a local charity shop. And I have to give due credit to Madame Persolaise, because there were a few things behind a cabinet, a locked glass cabinet in this charity shop, and my eye was caught by a completely empty atomizer. It looked like a kind of 1980s-ish atomizer of Chanel No. 5 that they were selling for £3, and I was just sort of looked at this thinking to myself, you know, such a shame that it's empty. And then it's Madame Persolaise who sort of says, "Oh, look at that," and I just sort of thought, "Oh, you know, what was she sort of directing my attention to?" And there I see this sealed, and I immediately, of course, recognized the packaging as being from round about the 80s. This is how I remember Eau Sauvage being sold, and it was what I thought was a decent price. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but also, I suppose, in the way of these things, it wasn't expensive. I don't mind telling you, I paid £65 for it, which, you know, and not knowing the quality of the juice, I have no idea whether that's a good price or not, but I do know that these sorts of things sealed from around about 1985 fetch a lot more money than that on various online sites. Spaced Out says, in 10 years, vintage Dior Sauvage unboxing. Oh, do you think? And so I thought, well, I have to share this in a video with you, do the unboxing together with you. And I think there's probably nothing else for it but to get into it. I have also got here, and maybe we'll be able to do a comparison. Oh, Rich says someone is selling a 224ml of this version for £449 on eBay. Gosh, this is a recent-ish version of Eau Sauvage. I think this bottle is perhaps, I don't know, 5 years old maybe, or 6 years old. So this is very much current Eau Sauvage. Whereas this, judging from the batch code and judging from the fact that there's no barcode and all the rest of those things that we can look at, I think this one is probably from 1985. So I think we just need to go for it. For the few of you out there who don't know about Eau Sauvage, it's probably considered to be one of the greatest masculine scents of all time. Released in 1966, composed by Edmond Roudnitska, and it's a bit of a milestone in perfumery, because I think a lot of people believe that it marked the first moment when citrus compositions really became bona fide perfumes and became more than just colognes. Not to denigrate or knock colognes, but Eau Sauvage took things to another level, and it is still very much a citrus composition, and doesn't try to kind of hide away from the fact that it's a citrus composition, but it's also a really beautifully rounded, fully fledged perfume. And a lot of people say as well that it marks an important moment in the use of the material hedione in perfumery. I mean, hedione is used still tons and tons and tons in perfumery. But I think nowadays people sort of say that actually the amount of hedione that Edmond Roudnitska used in this formula is nowhere near the sort of proportion that it's used nowadays in a lot of, I mean, a lot of perfumes out there are like sort of 30% hedione, 40% hedione. So I think some people say that the whole hedione significance of Eau Sauvage is a little bit overplayed. I need to stop beating around the bush and do this. I'm so nervous about this. Okay, so what is the best way of doing this? I mean, the cellophane is not going to remain intact. Oh, no, we might be in luck. I mean, I don't live in a particularly exciting part of England or a particularly exciting part of Hampshire. So this charity shop isn't even in a city. It's just sort of on the outskirts of Portsmouth. And finding any kind of perfume in this charity shop would have been amazing, but finding a completely sealed vintage Eau Sauvage was... Okay, don't break it, keep the box protected, says Time to Moscow. I promise I will look at all of these comments later on, but I can't be sort of doing this and looking at your comments at the same time. Okay. I think we're nearly there. The last time I did a kind of major vintage unboxing with you, I think was after the summer, wasn't it? And it was a Chanel No. 5, and that turned out to be really, really good, didn't it? Leave the cellophane on, protects the integrity of the box. Oh, do you mean I should just... Okay, so maybe I could just... Good point. Thank you very much. This is why Persolaise does these live, because otherwise he... Ooh. Do you know, one thing that I thought to myself was, what if somehow all of the juice has just evaporated? But I can see... Look, let's do it together. I can see that there seems to be plenty in here. There's a lot in here. And, oh, okay, it's not a spray. It's not a spray. I should have realized that, actually. I should have realized it wouldn't be a spray. Rachel says, always has a slightly animalic skin-like aspect, which I adore. It looks perfect. I think the juice is in perfect condition, says Time to Musk Up. The cellophane doesn't look damaged. Damn, that color, says Bright. I know, look at the color. Actually, let's... I don't know why I just assumed it would be a spray, but of course, these things were more often than not sold as splashes, weren't they? Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Okay. Oh, St. Jeannie says, yes, I got one from the same time as yours recently, and it's a splash. Good heavens, says Richmond. What are you good heavensing about? Let's leave that on here. Oh my goodness, folks, look. Wow. We need some portentous music playing here. We need the Thus Spake Zarathustra music from... Okay. This is probably going to have to go straight on skin, isn't it? And maybe how can I get someone to a blotter? Oh, there is. We have got blotter contact, folks. We have got blotter contact. Okay. I need to shut my eyes for this. This could be a religious experience. Okay, here we go. Okay, the top notes are a little bit fried. I was expecting that. I'm not going to lie. They are a little bit vinegary. Oh, but it's coming through. it's just so different now, isn't it? You kind of you forget how I'm gonna say I want to say you forget how masculine this was, but I don't like being really kind of prescriptive with gender codes and things like that. So I need to put that in inverted commas. I suppose it's a very 80s masculinity, but it's really got hairs on its chest, and it's so good. It's really good. But I'd forgotten actually how potent it is, because it's got this sort of reputation, like I was just saying, citrus scent and a citrus scent that lasts, and yet it's still a citrus scent. But this is coming across as really mossy and very much sheep-like rather than just citrusy. It's very different from today's offering, says Rich Mitch. So, okay, what do we have? We have something that, on the one hand, is very definitely citrusy and kind of tart, yellow, lemony citrusy rather than, say, sweet mandarin or anything like that. But then immediately you get loads and loads of herbs, tarragon, rosemary, and then that very suave, chypre-like, mossy base. I don't know why I'm saying chypre-like, because it is like it is a sheep. It's coming across as a citrus sheep, and it's making me think a lot of a bottle that I have, which is by no means ancient, but I suppose now is getting on a bit. A bottle that I have of Chanel's Pour Monsieur EDT, and that bottle must now be maybe about 14, 15 years old. So I suppose if I were to compare it with current Chanel Pour Monsieur, bound to be some changes. Mona says maybe it was citrusy 30 years ago. Yes, that's a good, well, 40 years ago nearly, right? That's a good point. Maybe that citrus burst would have been more pronounced, and maybe the other materials have taken over. Oh, Rachel says, I'm spraying my vintage too. Is it closer to the 1984 Eau Sauvage Extreme? I don't remember. I don't remember. I remember I had a bottle of Eau Sauvage Extreme, but I don't remember it now. But it's, I think I've said this sort of thing on this channel before. Let me just label this blotter properly, because I do want to spray the current one. I think there are so many ways, really countless ways in which, thank goodness, we have moved on in terms of social mores, in terms of particularly in terms of gender equality, in terms of understanding, openness, tolerance. Thank goodness that in so many ways we are not, at least in the Western part of the world, we are not in the same kind of position that we were in the 80s, in the mid 80s, in terms of the gender roles that people were expected to fulfill in terms of power relationships between genders. Thank goodness that we're not there. But you do also sometimes think that you cannot make any gains without also having some losses along the way, and the pendulum is always at one extreme or another. And I guess there is something very unashamedly masculine of its time about this that now actually seems quite attractive, because I suppose maybe now a scent might, this is the problem of doing these things live, because I'm trying to put into words what I mean. I guess what I'm trying to say is that nowadays mainstream compositions, most mainstream compositions, would probably be frightened of being so bold and so strong. Now, if a mainstream brand were to release what I'm smelling now, if they were to release it today, I'd be sitting here saying, oh my goodness, how great that they've made something so polarizing, because I guess not a lot of people are going to go with this. This was not strange or polarizing in 1985. This was just good old Dior Eau Sauvage, which by this point in its life was already almost 20 years old. And so I suppose maybe one of the prices that we have to pay for being more open-minded and more tolerant and understanding is that, I don't know, maybe we're less tolerant of extremes. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of this, by the way, in future, because I am just thinking out loud here. Nowadays, it's all about playing it safe for sales, says Mika Shoemaker. Yes, certainly for sales. But this is now making me think of things like Nicolai's New York, which is also very kind of old school masculine in a way, and we've already said Chanel's Pour Monsieur, Chanel and Teus as well in a way, but not because they're similar sorts of scents, but because they're equally brave and bold in the identity that they want to project. Maybe even something like, you know, Xerius or YSL Jazz. Is it, oh, Gavin says, is it toxic masculinity in a bottle? See, that's a good question because, you know, and we probably don't have the time or the scope at the moment to go into a kind of, you know, sociological discussion of this. I hope it's not I hope it's not toxic masculinity in a bottle, but maybe we can now see it as what there was that was commendable about masculinity in those days. And there must have been something that was commendable about masculinity, right? It wasn't all toxic. Maybe it was all of those sort of commendable aspects without the toxic side, because I'm not, you know, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, why can't we go back to the good old days of how things were? Because in a lot of ways they really, really weren't great. But not everything about them must have been bad either, right? And I'm thinking of Caron's Yataghan. It is really, really, really special. Oh, and really interesting on the blotter as well. I think that kind of woody jasmine feel is coming through much more strongly on the blotter. Now we have to do the comparison, and this is. I haven't actually sprayed this bottle for a while. As you can see, I haven't sprayed this bottle very much at all, because I guess I'm just not drawn to it that much. And but never know, maybe pleasantly surprised. Perhaps I've misremembered what. Let's see. Okay, so the current one. The current one you can tell immediately is, you know, it is meant to be Eau Sauvage. It's trying to be Eau Sauvage, but I guess it just feels flatter and weirdly drier, like they maybe as though where the gap was left by the mossy notes, they've just filled it with a greater sort of woodiness and a greater leathery sort of quality, because I don't think Eau Sauvage was ever really seen as a leather scent. It's interesting because, you know, there's no doubt that they are meant to be trying to be the same perfume. But the current one certainly doesn't have a kind of burst of citrus opening either. Yeah, so I would say the new one is more leather woods, whereas the old one is more a kind of complex mix of mosses and woods and florals. I'm also thinking of Caron's Troisième Homme. You know, that there was that moment where actually masculine perfumery was doing some very, very interesting things in its exploration of masculinity, where and you know, Guerlain's Derby, you don't get masculines like that anymore. And I think this is very much in that camp. Gosh, I am pleased with the purchase. I think I was expecting something. I think I was expecting something more innocent. I think I've misremembered. Let me just mark this blotter there as current Eau Sauvage. We'll do a blotter comparison as we go along. But I'm very, very, very pleased to have this. And the actual bottle itself, designed by Pierre Dinon. What are people saying, though? Let me look at comments. What are people saying? Oh, comments from Angela talking about another boyfriend. Have I missed other comments about other boyfriends than Angela? What are you saying? Oh, hang on, I've lost it now. Gavin says, Troisième homme is the Liberty floral shirt of perfumes. To me, Eau Sauvage is more boxy suit. Yes. Although, do you remember the Eau Sauvage advert from the 80s, the print advert, or was it for Eau Sauvage Extrême, which was actually, I seem to remember, quite a soft image of masculinity, because wasn't it a guy just like with a towel wrapped around his waist? You know, I seem to remember it being quite kind of gentle in a way. And Alain Delon, of course, was the face of Eau Sauvage for so long, and his image was never overly butch, particularly, was it? I mean, actually, his image used to play on his quite boyish looks, you know, the beautiful blue eyes and all the rest of it. Oh, Mona's saying Angela got many boyfriends. I need to check out these comments. Where are Angela's comments? Perhaps I'll have to go back and read them later. Okay. So what people saying? Oh, Richmond says, just pulled out my 50ml vintage spray 87 bitter bergamot at the top. Fantastic. Gerard says, if we don't get masculines like that anymore, should we get more vintage then? Well, if you can find them. Gavin says, I'm Googling adverts, but a lot of Depp is turning up. Yes, because if you now look for Dior Sauvage, you get Monsieur Depp. And Angela's trying to sort of re-establish some integrity here, saying only mentioned 2 boyfriends. Well, leave it at that then, Angela. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to be smelling my hand, but I won't be able to, because I would like to, if time allows. I have got 3 more videos planned for you, all of them of fairly new releases. But oh, Keith says 111 watching, 28 likes. Come on, folks. Yes, I haven't done my usual, have I? If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. And if you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see the link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. And the likes are going up. So thank you very much, Keith. I always forget to do that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, look at the color difference is striking, isn't it? And I will see you in a bit. Thank you. Take care. Right, how do I click on end stream? Right, see you in a moment.